All right, there's a few news stories. Microsoft is back to its old tricks. This is part of what got Microsoft sued. It's pretty amazing. It totally violates the terms of the agreement they settled over Windows 98. What they've done is their browser has fallen into third place. It's like 11%, and Chrome is like 66%. So they broke. Chrome had a button and Firefox had a button to switch your default browser to Chrome. And this is exactly one of the central issues in the lawsuit against Microsoft in the year 2000 or so, where they said it was too difficult to switch to non-Microsoft defaults, so they made a special button, it was in Windows XP Service Pack 1, to easily switch your browser, and they've totally gone back to the old stuff. They made it so the single button Chrome provides doesn't work. They made it so Windows won't even let you click a single button. You have to separately choose like 14 different file types to move the browser. And they made it so it keeps popping up a question over and over again. It keeps popping up the settings every time you open Chrome, just to like irritate people that use Chrome. And Microsoft has done this many times. They did it with MS-DOS. They deliberately put bugs in MS-DOS to cause, in Microsoft Office, to cause it to crash when it was run on other companies' DOS versions at the time. So anyway, they're back to their bad old Microsoft. They've done this a lot. Apparently there are dark patterns in Windows 11. I haven't noticed them, but patterns where you click a button and it does the opposite of what it should. They certainly did that with Windows 10. When we had Windows 7 or 8, and they wanted you to update to Windows 10, at one point they put up a button saying, do you want to update to Windows 10, yes or no? And if you clicked no, it interpreted it as yes. So anyway, they're back to the bad stuff again, which probably reflects a logical conclusion, which is that Microsoft is not important enough anymore to be sued for antitrust. The FTC seems to have no will to enforce antitrust regulations anymore, and if they would go after anybody, they would go after Facebook or Google. So Microsoft probably figures they can do this outrageous abuse of power and get away with it, and that's probably true. Good evening, Rouhani. Anyway, so here's a company that adopted AI earlier than most, and what they did was Eric Bernolfson at Stanford University. So he said, what can machine learning do? And a bunch of people switched to using ChatGPT 3, which is the version that's been around for a while. And what they found was it greatly improved the efficiency of their customer service reps. Customer service is a real pain point for most companies. People call, they want help. The customers often find it frustrating. They don't get the help they need. And what they found is if you give the customer service rep, not that you connect the customers to an AI, but you connect the service rep to an AI that helps them find the right answer and has suggested scripts and stuff. And they said that greatly improved their work. And this I can believe because 35 years ago or something, I wrote something like this without AI. I worked at a company that had a call center that had a lot of people calling in, and I wrote something that would put up a page of useful information on every case so the people on the phone could more quickly find the right answers to give people. It really helps a lot. And anyway, so that turned out to be a hit. There's another thing I heard just today from a friend at a company where they are doing marketing of products. A bunch of them learned to use ChatGPT to write their marketing materials, and they said, this is amazing, it does a very good job. And the company fired the people that weren't using ChatGPT for being unproductive. So this is what I mean. This is why I'm pushing my machine learning project so much. We all need to get good at this. And we all need to get used to working with this stuff because not knowing how to work with AI is going to be like not knowing how to use the internet. 10 or 15 years ago, it's going to be that you're kind of useless on the job and nobody's going to want you. We're all going to have to work with these AI things all the time. So there's a big European bust of crime marketplaces arresting a whole bunch of people. And one thing that I thought was kind of amazing is for some reason they wrote a video. They made a video to display this. And just a summary of all the things they've done, but I don't quite know what the point of this is, but they're making like a marketing advertising video of their accomplishments. So maybe it will help people support them. I'm not entirely sure who their target audience is. So Bud Light sent like one can of beer to a gender influencer. They didn't publish it on TV or anything, just this influencer on their YouTube channel or something showed that they got some Bud Light and drank a Bud Light, and the right of America is freaking out. And I say it's amazing. It's not like they put it in a Super Bowl ad or something. They just had one influencer to try to reach out to the transgender people and sell them beer. And so Bud Light sales are plummeting. People are shooting Bud Light with their guns. They're freaking out. And a guy on Mastodon that lives in the South said they should have seen this coming. It is the American culture war. Kid Rock shot it with an AR. Their stock is falling. Their sales are falling. It is a very disturbing time when people, and this is, of course, what the Republican Party has been betting on my whole life. When I was a kid, they betted on the fact that you hated gays more than you cared about anything else. Now they're betting that you hate transgenders people more than anything else, and you'll put up with any kind of abuse to make sure that you're hurting transgenders. So anyway, so I guess they want, and now as you see, a lot of states are passing draconian laws against transgender drugs and stuff, so the people that need that stuff can't get it. It's a crazy place we're in. Anyway, apparently that really hurt their brand very badly. And here's another guy that's throwing away his brand, is Musk at Twitter. He changed the API, so all the things that rely on the application programming interface don't work anymore unless you pay some enormous fee, like thousands of dollars per month. And WordPress cannot share WordPress blogs on Twitter anymore for this reason. And WordPress, one person said WordPress is 1/3 of the internet. It's a huge part of the internet. And, cooperating with WordPress so that you can promote tweets on WordPress and WordPress blogs on Twitter is obviously a win for both parties, but Elon Musk doesn't see it that way. He just wants everybody to pay him. I think like the standard narcissist, he thinks that he is the center of the universe and it is a privilege for anybody to use his platform, and he doesn't need to be nice to anybody to get them on his platform. He can just abuse them all he wants. So on it goes. Microsoft has made an AI-powered designer tool, and it's available at a website, but it doesn't do anything. I tried it. I don't understand what the point of this thing is. I found it. That link didn't go to it. I think that link goes to someplace that goes to it. Supposedly, you can describe an image, and it will draw a useful logo of that image. Yeah, here it is, designer.microsoft.com. But it seemed awful to me. Let's see if it's going to let me do it here. I'm going to try it. Okay, so if I say I want students watching a lecture in class, then I try it. Now it's going to demand that I sign up with a Microsoft account, but if it's like it was at home, when I do it, it's going to tell me I'm already signed in with a Microsoft account. So this is typical Microsoft. They make you sign in when you're already signed in. That seems to always be the way they do it. So students watching a lecture in class, and this is what I get. Learning in class. This one looks vaguely like it. I mean, these are just terrible, I think. What these look like is I used Microsoft Word and I just went to the clip art. Like, what does this have to do with it? They take a few of the words and put it down here at random. Then they put a picture of something that has absolutely nothing to do with the topic here. This just looks like I picked random words off the clip art feature in Microsoft Office. It doesn't seem to have paid any attention to the prompt at all. It doesn't seem to have any AI generating anything. The DAL-E you would describe like dogs playing football, and you get a picture of dogs playing football. You could say dogs playing football in the style of Picasso, and you get it. Here you don't get anything like it. It doesn't seem to actually have any AI working at all, so I'm not impressed. Anyway, you can play with it, and perhaps if you're more skilled at giving it prompts, you can get it to do something good. I couldn't get it to do anything good at all. So the driverless cars are making more trouble in San Francisco. I've been hearing complaints about it a long time. Now they're complaining a lot more. When there is an emergency and they put up the tape to stop cars, the driverless cars don't know enough to stop. And so they will drive into scenes where they're trying to fix leaks in water and other emergency things. It will just keep bustling in. And what they have found is there's no way to stop the car except to smash the window with a fire axe and then reach in and turn it off. And so they're getting more and more fed up with it. There are many, many complaints, many reports from police and firemen and other people trying emergency vehicles saying these things are just a menace. And, it seems to me like we need a city ordinance saying that there has to be a phone number on there you can dial to make it stop. But
Soon started driverless taxi in San Francisco already, right?
that's what they are. They're driverless taxis in San Francisco. 3 or 4 companies have got permission, and apparently they get it from the state, and the city is not considered to have any jurisdiction over it. So we'll see. But it certainly seems like San Francisco would like to get rid of them or force them to have an emergency button the cops can press or something. I mean, there ought to be some better way to get them out of the way for emergency situations. And there's an article in the Washington Post saying what I'd expect, that Mark Zuckerberg has harmed the morale of Facebook workers, which is what happens when you have all these disastrous decisions. He's sort of like a smaller version of Elon Musk here. I mean, Elon Musk completely destroyed all morale at Twitter. The only people left at Twitter are people who are trapped there because they have H-1B visas and they get deported if they quit. But at Meta, in the first place, he made them waste all their time on the metaverse, which everybody except him could see was a disaster. And then he had several rounds of layoffs. And so I heard people say he was pretty generous in severance pay and stuff. But anyway, they don't have much faith in him. This is the problem. Meta has a special stock structure so that Mark Zuckerberg is not a chief executive officer. He is a king. He can never be deposed by a board of directors or anything, which is the normal situation. So the entire company is based on your idolization and worship of this one guy and your faith to follow his orders. He is just the king that can never leave his post, and they don't trust him anymore. And therefore, it's pretty bad. Normal companies have a board of directors that's responsible to the shareholders. And for example, when Steve Jobs made bad decisions at Apple and made the Apple Lisa, which was a flop, the board of directors pushed him out and appointed a different CEO. And that is the way corporate governance is supposed to go. The purpose of a corporation is to serve the stockholders. It is supposed to be like a democracy. The stockholders get to vote for the board of directors, and the board of directors appoints the chief executive officer. And if they lose faith in the chief executive officer, they can remove and replace them, but not Facebook. They have a different corporate structure. And yeah.
The Facebook, the stock is just like Google stock. The common stock don't have voting rights.
That's right. There's common and special stock, and the common stock has no voting right over. So he keeps the other stock for himself, so he can never be removed. So I don't know what the board of directors does at all. If it exists, it does, and that's
not necessarily like Google. The founder can sell the voting rights.
Yes. Oh, yeah. He could voluntarily sell his privilege and step down. I mean, he could quit, but nobody can make him quit, and that's not the normal corporate structure. Anyway, well, it's not illegal apparently. It's a special corporate. It's what?
It's perfectly legal.
It is. Oh, sure, it's perfectly legal. You can form a company under any circumstances. Then you have to tell people what it is, and then people decide whether to invest. And that's the problem. I mean, if they lose faith in this leader, then the whole thing sort of collapses. And it's basically monarchy instead of a democracy, where you have an orderly transition of power.